So it's time to meet our special guest for this week. We are honoured to have the artist Thomas Wolski.
Hi guys.
Hi. Who has joined us live from the studio of his latest art piece, I should imagine.
Yes, yeah. Nice to have a day off. It's kind of like being at a dinner party but you're not invited, so you know what's going on but you can't like join in.
So you are a very busy man, aren't you, basically?
I am, yes, yeah, that's why I always look quite tired.
Yeah. Because your pieces of art are not your basic kind of outline of a, you know, like if I'm going to draw a bit of art, I might draw a cat with just an outline with a sort of whiskers and stuff. Yours is very, very detailed.
Yeah, it's it takes a lot of time to do each piece, so I don't really plan exactly what I'm going to be drawing as such. I kind of just go with it, but it's I suppose it's lots of different items put into one silhouette or onto one object, so it's actual drawings of things as opposed to patterns. So it might be like boats and buildings and waterfalls and watches and clocks and like sort of any kind of random stuff. So, you know, I'm looking around now, looking at the microphones and the wires and things. I'll be banking all this for later when I run out of things to draw.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of just a mishmash of everything. So it's kind of like Where's Wally-ish. So when you look at the artwork from afar, you sort of see a monochrome kind of thing. Yeah. And then when you get up close, you can see all sort of the treasures inside.
Oh, it's lovely. So you like the intricacies of things?
Yes, yeah. I used to do a lot of silhouettes of items. So you'd look on a wall and you might see like a cow's head, for example. Yeah. And then when you get up close, you'd see all of the pictures on the inside of it. And then I'm trying to think of the first transition piece. I started basically drawing onto items. So I took it from a 2D piece of artwork onto a sculpture. So I'd get a sculpture of something, paint it all in nice sort of glossy white, and then just freehand draw onto the item. So it kind of adds that extra dimension. So when people are looking at something, you've got the sort of like, oh, that kind of looks impressive as a shape, and then when you get up close, you can see all of the twiddly handiwork that's got in there as well. That
must be really tricky to do without making any mistakes.
You wouldn't see, it's so busy. I make mistakes all the time. It's not that hard because you sort of fill the whole item. You can always just turn it into something else. So a mistake would be like, you know, instead of using a fine pen, getting like a bingo dauber and then going, oh no, I've done like a big black, you know, something. But you can always kind of style it out. So it's quite therapeutic. But I've got like thousands of hours of practice. So for me, it's kind of, I know sort of how to handle it, and I've worked with some really weird shaped things, like we all have.
Yes.
So,
do you look for weirdly shaped things to do art onto?
I don't. I used to just find things. So I found a antique carousel horse, which was from an antique steel, which I picked up in Shropshire. I asked my friend if I could borrow her Mini because I thought that'd be a great size car to pick up a carousel horse. And it's like 100 years old. It was battered. It had a hoof missing. The tail was hanging off. So I sort of challenged myself to actually sort of fix it up first, which is horrible. It's so boring because it's like I just want to get my pen out and start going. So I had to kind of get it all looking nice and sharp and then sort of create the artwork onto it. So it could be anything like that, but I don't really look for things. I might just be somewhere random and see something and be like, oh, I can buy that. Usually not sort of like junky places, but you never know where things might pop up. So.
And you've got quite a bit of publicity from some of the things that you've done, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done. It's been quite fun actually because I was doing these pieces. I call it collection work. So it's when you're just creating items because you fancy doing them, and then you just hoard them for years and pay to keep them in storage until they go on display somewhere. But I've been working with a couple of brands over the last couple of years, which has been great as well because that pushes your work and it also sort of gives you that kick as well. Like, oh, actually, it's quite nice, isn't it? Because I just do it and then put it in a box and then hide it away. So I did a Bentley car bonnet last summer. So that was called Big Bentley. So I lived in London for 10 years. So I used to walk past the showroom pretty much every day on the way to work. There it is there. And I just thought I'll use the silhouette of the London skyline because it's Bentley, and my names of the artwork sort of are twisted to do with what the artwork is. So Big Bentley.
Yes.
I thought it was funny when I said it. And that's just filled with all different types of images again. So it's not specifically Bentley cars, items and London things. It's just my general shebang thrown into that silhouette. So
Wow.
Do you get quite protective over your things?
No, anyone can buy it, have it.
Do you know? Do you know kind of like, oh, you can have that one because I'm not so keen on that one, but I want to keep that one.
I think because I spend so much time with them. I mean, it's like sometimes I'm like, last summer I remember, because it's like this summer, it's really warm, so I'm sort of sat with the floor fan, like in my underpants, working on something, and some of the items you kind of have to, it's not as sexy as it sounds. You have to sort of move things onto their sides, and they can be sort of heavy or awkward if they're bigger pieces, and you kind of have to get around the angles and things. Like the car bonnet was, it doesn't have a centre as such, so I had to think, how can I get Big Ben up the middle? So I was there with like a piece of string in my teeth and my arms on either side and a pen in my mouth to try and get like a dot there. So I had a point of reference. But
wow,
it's all a learning experience. So.
And what about were you into art when you were at school? Was that?
Yeah, I didn't professionally train as an artist, so I finished at college level, and then I just went off to work in the world. So I grew up in Southport, and then I went to work in Manchester. And then I lived in London, but I was always doing bits and pieces on the side. But my history was luxury brand training, so I worked for like Louis Vuitton for years, Burberry, Ziliani, Dunhill, and I'd sort of go, welcome to the company, this is the product, this is the brand, this is the history, and I loved that. And then I got to a point and I thought, well, I'm kind of doing this for everyone else's products, and I maybe have the capability to create my own products. So at that point I didn't really think it was like, I didn't have what I have now, so it takes years of working on things to suddenly realise what your niche is. But now sort of I've got my flow, and it's sort of people like it and they recognise it, which is nice as well. So they had some pieces were in as a restaurant company in London called M, and I've done lots of pieces of work for them. They have big budgets for beauty. The locations are stunning, so they've got one in Victoria, one in the City of London, Twickenham, and I had lots of tweets one day because I was on holiday actually, and I thought, gosh, no one ever tweets me really. I was like, it's only art stuff, so it's not super exciting. But they'd seen all the images in the background because they filmed Celebrity MasterChef, the final, in the private dining room, and they'd put the work in there, but lots of people recognised it. So for me it was quite nice to sort of realise that people actually see what you do instead of me just looking at what I do all the time. So.
Did you want to have a unique style? Were you going for that?
I wasn't. There was a period of work, I won't say where I was a little bit bored, so I used to entertain myself by sort of filling pieces of paper with drawings really. So my first big piece was like 15 A4 pages that all fit together to make one big artwork. I kind of thought, oh, this looks nice, it's a nice style, and I kind of went from there. But now I just love doing it on the objects because they're so different and they're so signature, and you can place them and you can walk around them. It's just
You're also responsible for one of the bees in Manchester, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes, the word bee has been very prominent this summer, since spring. My bee, not too shabby. It's actually at the Whitworth Gallery on Oxford Road, so it's there until the 23rd of September, so that's when the trail officially finishes. I was asked to do this, came up sort of quite late after the initial sort of deadline for when people had submitted applications to do the pieces, so I think it's April sort of time, if I get that correct. It took about 6 or 7 weeks sort of on and off to do. So this is actually one of the smaller bees, so because I didn't have a spare year to do a 7-foot bee, so I was like, please, if you've got like another version, I'd love to do that. So I was super proud to be able to get involved because I kind of do my private projects a lot, so to do something in Manchester, in the city, and it'd be such a big deal, it's fantastic. So, but that again, it's the same style, just a bigger pen. I just had to go up a notch, I didn't have time, but it's there at the gallery. So.
And with that particular one, did you have to think up things to draw into it?
I must admit, I wanted it to be heavily Manchester because I thought I don't want to be sort of like just sticking too many random things in, which is kind of my style. So it's quirked with other bits and pieces, but it's got so much stuff in. I mean, there's drag queens, there's like high heels, rain, umbrellas, cobbles, canal boat. It's like it's stuffed with things. I've got lots of friends from around the city, so I've asked people. I even said at one point on Facebook, is there anything that anyone would like me to include for you? And it might be a business, not like a business, but like someone might make cakes, so like I'll do a cake for you or something like that in the image. So it wasn't like a sponsor, it was more like a thing. What like objects do you create? So that was really nice to do that. But there's just so much in it, because that picture just shows like the side, and then when I'd done all the sides, I looked and I was like, I've got to do the inside wings and everything.
What would you say you've had the most feedback from?
Art-wise, or the biggest feedback was the Adidas Stan Smiths that I did. I purchased a pair of white Adidas Stan Smith sneakers, just plain white, and there's the baby version there, and I just freehand drew straight onto the sneakers, and I got like an acrylic shoebox, so they look kind of like a cool arty thing. They look great on, but I just could never wear them.
No.
But that was probably the biggest feedback that I got, because loads of people like sneakerheads and people like trainers and Adidas. It's a big brand, so that's probably one that I got a lot of information back on. But things like Man City for doing their football piece. I did their UEFA away team gifts for last season. So the football here, that is all Manchester again. They wanted it very heavily set on what's in the city, and obviously their side of Manchester. So you've got to, there's only one team in the city of Manchester. So this was again a piece that lots of people had seen, because it's football, it's sport, and it's something different for me, because I just like always doing sort of pretty things, but it's kind of going into sport and a bit of motoring and a bit of this, and so.
Do you like to push yourself a little bit like that?
Yeah, well, you have to. So I'll always pretty much do anything, and I'm trying to think what the hardest thing I've done is, but they're all so different, and they're all just very, very difficult. But yeah, I like to think, if someone said, oh, could you do this? I'd probably just say yes, and then afterwards go, sure, I can do that, it's fine. Yeah.
Within the intricacies of the drawings, do you ever hide interesting, perhaps naughty images within the little sketches?
You mean like burglars and people telling lies and things like that?
Or genitals.
There's always, not always, but there are things. Sometimes, usually if someone says I don't want anything like that, I'll be like, right. Disguised, So there's certain, like even different cultures, like they say, I don't do this, but they might say we don't like faces, like in the artwork and things like that. So you've got to be careful, obviously, if it's a commissioned piece of work for someone. But generally, there's loads of crazy stuff in there. Yes, there is. And actually, when I get commissioned work, lots of people ask for crazy stuff.
Do they really?
Yes, they do, yeah.
Because it's really small and intricate sort of things. Yeah. So you must have to come up with so much to fill, like the bee, for example.
Yeah, I must have about 300 sort of stock images that are in my head that I kind of like to change and use very often. So it might be things like an accordion, and people will be like, oh, you're musical. I'm like, not really, but there's usually this sort of accordion guy in Stevenson Square in the summer play, and it's kind of a sound I hear if I'm walking around. I think it's quite a nice looking thing, so something like that might be in there. It might be like some wicker from a chair back home or something like that. And, but everything sort of comes from somewhere originally. And I used to love studying kids' books when I was little, so looking through, like tracing along with my finger all the little maps in children's books, little villages and bridges and houses and things. So.
Oh wow! So do you have like photographs of lots of interesting things?
I don't, to be honest. I might just think of something and be like, how can I work that into my own way? So someone might say, I want like a lion in my artwork because I'm a Leo, but I might make the lion in the artwork look like it's made of sort of bricks and stone with like, so it's still a version of a lion, but it's not a direct thing, if that makes sense. So I kind of twist everything up a bit twisted like that.
Have you had any famous people commissioning any of your stuff?
I have done pieces for people. I did a piece for Jennifer Hudson, that's the name, from what's she in? Showgirls.
Showgirls.
I enjoyed that. I did a piece for a Magic Unicorn. No, I'm joking.
I got all excited then.
Jennifer Hudson, I think that was November that I did that, and I had surgery on my shoulder at the end of last year because I've dislocated a few times, so I had it pinned in place, but I had 2 weeks after the surgery, it was like, can you do this? And I was like, I have to. So I remember sitting there with all strapped up trying to do this piece. So I did a nice piece for her. I've done other pieces. I've done things like the Elton John AIDS Foundation. I'm trying to think who else. I did a piece of Madonna. Other people, I can't always say everybody that I've done pieces for, but I've done lots of different people.
And do you get like family members ringing you up and go, oh, it's Madge's birthday down the road, can you just whip a card up for us?
Do you know what, that would be quite nice if they did that, but they obviously don't like my stuff that much, or they think it's too expensive, I don't know, but yeah, rarely actually. Yeah, that might be the issue. I'll just be handing out things. I'll be like, what have I got in my samples box?
Now, the images that we've seen are all black and white,
yes,
and no colour.
yeah.
Is that deliberate?
I don't really like colouring in, so I really like looking at colour on artwork, but I just don't enjoy doing colour. I just think I don't know, I just like seeing all the lines. I was always a line drawer, so I never did sort of rough sketches where you're sort of going over and over. I'd kind of just do the shapes straight away. But yeah, I've done one, maybe two pieces. Like I did a Lego man just as a piece of fun for me. I've done a lipstick, which was sort of like silver, like a lippy.
Really?
Which was in a nice red. But yeah, it's just nice to have a touch of colour. But I think the whole colour ones, sometimes you can lose the actual artwork imagery because the colours are, you might have 7 colours on one picture of a Lego man, and then when you look up close, you have to really sort of study through like the yellow to see what it is. So I like the crispness. If they asked me for it and said, would you be able to do it, and I thought it would look good, I'd say yes. But if I didn't think it would look good, I'd say I don't think it'll look great. I'd rather you had a really, really good looking piece of art than what you want.
Yeah. Do people ask for weird things?
Not really, mate. To be honest, I probably draw more weird things, so they don't have to ask. They're probably just like, oh, you know that weird picture you did 2 years ago? You still got that? I'm like, I do actually, yeah. So, but not so much. No, not really. I've done things like underpants, and like I even did some like boot treads from the bottom, and I've done like a harnessy thing and like a leather like gloves and things like that, and they were quite nice sort of, but again, that was just me doing little hobby pieces, and sometimes if I put them online, or someone might say, oh, I've seen this picture, can I have that? So like I said, it's probably me more so than everyone else. So I'm open to suggestions anyway. I'm not.
Would you like sometimes you get artists who go into collaboration with like a business, like a company, and produce things like cups and mugs and tea towels and stuff. Would you ever kind of consider doing that?
I have done pieces for myself, so I haven't done like collaborations with like product like that before, but like on my website I've got a shop on there as well, so there's a few items on. I'm sort of working on that between everything else, that's why I look nice and tired. But I did some large Stone Max resin sort of occasional bowls with like a big skull image that I'd done on, because that's quite because it was a popular image. I thought I can use that on something, and it's still a nice sort of luxury item as opposed to just something you're sort of banging out mugs, if you know what I mean. Nothing wrong with that. But I did do Christmas ornaments last year. I did a collection of ornaments online, and they did really well. I'm obsessed with Christmas, so I was like, I suppose I better do something. So I'm a December child. So I did the whole alphabet illustrated, sort of little silhouettes of everyone's initials. So you could literally buy these ceramic ornaments that were made. So they were made to order as people requested them, because they're made in London, they're printed and set, and then they come back up here. So anything like that I would have done in like the UK, just because I think it's nice to do that. So
wow. So there's no real limit to what you'll work on, is there?
Not really. No, that's the problem. It's an artist's mind. Don't even look at the notes on my phone. I think you'd be terrified. It's I'm terrified. I read through it. It's like reading a point horror, when I go to bed. So.
Imagine if British Airways sent you, we've got a plane. Would you
do you know what? I'd love to do a tail fin. I've always wanted to do that. I did it was a Christmas competition actually, here we go, for British Airways, when I must have been about 10 or something like that, and it was sort of design your own plane wrap and we'll pick the winning one, and mine was just so good and they didn't pick it. Devastated. Maybe I went over the top. It kind of looked like a robin, and then it had like Christmas puddings around the windows and the fin was like a Christmas tree and stuff, but it was junky but nice. It was good. Everything all inclusive as well.
And of course, your website, you've got things displayed on your website.
Yes, so it's just www.thomaswolski.com. On the website, it shows sort of gallery pages, so it has pieces of work that I have in collection, and projects and things that I've been working on as well. There's sort of a blog that I'm sort of trying to keep updated because I have time as well. But yeah, that sort of gives you an idea of the silhouettes of things that I've done before and all the pieces that I'm working on and some items that I've sold already, but just so people can see what I've done, because they might think, I would love that. So.
So if people want to commission you, they can get in touch through your website.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. And I mean, there's pieces on there because I've done lots of pieces for charities, for like Stonewall, Terence Higgins Trust. So there's like a magic lamp that I did that was on display at Christie's in London in April, I think, this year. And that was a piece that was up for the auction there to make money for them. So I sort of try and make time every year as well to do different projects like that.
It's important, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's obviously, you have to say, it's great for your profile to be considered by these big companies as well, but also for them to appreciate what you do, and then you're doing something that's part of your community as well. So it is important, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if people want to get in touch with you via the social media.
Yeah, well, I'm on Instagram, Thomas Wolski Art, Twitter, Thomas Wolski Art, Facebook, Thomas Wolski Art, and on my website as well, and there's a contact page on there.
So at this point, we will have a little bit of extra recorded content for you dedicated Cudcast viewers. It's now when we get out our special jar of joy and hand it to our guest Thomas Wolski. So just pop your hand in the hole there and grab whatever you can and read it out.
It's exciting. Didn't bring my glasses.
Read whatever random question you've got there and give us an answer.
Sorry. 3 people, dead or alive, you would have at a dinner party. It's death again.
A death.
I'm
Lee,
obsessed.
Lee loves anything to do with death.
3 people, dead or alive, you'd have at a dinner party. Am I supposed to answer this? It's just like that, dead or alive. I think RuPaul would be quite fun at a dinner party. It gives a good bit of back. Like,
In drag or not in drag?
I don't think I'd mind, to be honest. Could have like the wig on and like his jeans or something.
Yeah.
In trousers, actually, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
That's just a really hard one. Brittany, just because I'd like to see if she's that vacant, because I really like her and I'd love her to like give me like more.
You've not seen her on tour?
Yeah, I saw her last Saturday.
Oh, did you?
I've seen every time she's done a tour.
No
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Is she still the same sort
I
of
thought it was
standard?
brilliant. It was
Yeah.
just what you expect, which is, dancing around, big production, music, sexy dancers. So I was happy.
I've heard that somebody needed to go and give her a proper scrunchie to do a...
Oh, that was, she did it herself. I think the first song she came on, her hair was down, and then she walked to the back and like, it's like she got a pop sock or a rubber band and just like put her hair in her own little pony, and it just was every like minute and a half she kept just pulling a ponytail, and we thought,
Bob down to Claire's.
So, and Britney Scrunchie would probably be the other one.
RuPaul.
Things that you could
Britney
tell.
Spears. No, let me think. I should think of like a sexy man if I can have anyone. Shouldn't
That'd be
I?
nice.
Like, who do I like? Gosh, pressure. It's usually someone I don't know the name of. I'm like, that one on that programme, and you Google it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's usually what happens with Neil. He doesn't know anybody.
Oh, God. So can we go on to someone else? I'm like...
Yeah. Should we just say
it shouldn't be that
generic
hard.
attractive man?
Generic attractive man from programme that I don't really watch that often, but when I see it, I think, he's quite nice.
Yeah.
I'd watch that again if I knew it was on.
Yes. Okay, fine. And one more question.
Should have sent me home, shouldn't you? Do you have any phobias? Yeah, spiders.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're just disgusting. Yeah. My friend had one in the hallway of her house last week, and she just stood there. She's got quite a big house. She walked into the hallway and she went, "Love, come and look at this." And I thought there was like a weird girl on the driveway or something spooky, like something creepy. Because her face just went drained. I was stood probably about 8 meters away, and I could see the hairs on its legs. I was like,
Oh.
I got one of those animal cruelty. I got one of those American-sized pretzel jars. They have at those frat parties, and they're just massive. And you think, really? And they buy the big cheese balls and things.
Yeah.
And I tried to drop it on the spider, and I don't think all of its legs fit underneath it. I swear, honestly.
See, the thing is, if you kill them, the minute that they die, they send out a message to all their friends telepathically saying, "Come and revenge."
It's not my house.
That's fine.
Sprinkle a circle of salt around it or something. I don't know. Yeah, spiders.
In my car, straight down the road.
I'm not great with heights either, but not like I'm scared. I'm just wobbly on them. Yeah.
Oh dear me. Last question.
Oh gosh. Authentic paper scrunchie.
Oh yeah. hastily improvised.
What is the one film that you can watch over and over? See, because I spend a lot of time on my own working, I can watch like everything over and over and over. I love Trains, Planes and Automobiles.
Oh, I love that.
I love that film.
Yeah.
Gosh, the last Harry Potter, I quite like that as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen a Harry Potter film.
No, I
okay.
haven't.
No, I know you're looking at me like
Strange,
I'm
yeah.
mental. I'm getting that a lot today.
No, I've night in at Christmas at home, just like over the holidays. Yeah.
No, it's I don't really know. I've just never watched one.
And Saving Mr. Banks, I love that film.
Oh, I love
I saw it for the
that.
first time earlier this year, actually, at a friend's house. I hadn't even heard of it, didn't know it existed, and I was like, oh my goodness, what a lovely film, because it's the old sort of Hollywoody, kind of a bit of Disney, and it's got nice. They've got a great cast, haven't they? It's Tom Hanks and I always forget her name.
Emma Thompson.
Yeah,
She's fabulous.
It's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So a bit of history.
Yeah. Because because Mary Poppins is such an iconic film.
Yeah.
And they're remaking it now, aren't they? as well?
Yes, with Emily Blunt, isn't it? I think she's going to be the new Mary Poppins. Showbiz News, half the
Showbiz News. She's alive.
For a change. Yeah, so can't wait to see that. Thank you very much for coming to see us, Thomas.
It's my pleasure. Sorry about my bad picking skills. I couldn't think of three people to have at a dinner party.
It's completely random.
I should have just said you guys.
I
Had such a lovely time.
Yeah. So if you want to find out all about Thomas, go to his website, thomaswolski.com.
Yeah.
Not Thomas Wolski Art.
Just thomaswolski.com. Yeah.
The art bit comes on your social media.
I know.
Thomas Wolski Art.
Yeah.
And
Google and you will find. So,
this is it, isn't it? Just Google. So wish you well with all of your
Thank you
future
very much.
products.
Thank you.
If you've got anything to plug, feel free to come back on and let us know. Bring it in.
I will.
Bring it all
actually, that's not a bad idea, is it? Yeah.
Haul it up them 5 lots
Giant
of
horse.
stairs.
Just see this amazing elephant I'm working on.
Yeah.